Biermann physically blocks Kim Zolciak move, cops called. RHOA alum, Kroy Biermann physically blocked his estranged wife, Kim Zolciak, from moving. Therefore, the police were called once again to their Georgia mansion. The cops have told Kim that she needs to stop calling them with every divorce issue she has. Yet, it has happened again, but what exactly transpired? Keep reading for further details. Kroy Biermann physically blocks Kim Zolciak's move. It's very sad for Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann, as they were once very much in love. When Kim laid her eyes on Kroy, she knew that she had to get to know him and see what he was all about. Their courtship played out on RHOA, and eventually they landed their own spin-off, Don't Be Tardy. He adopted her two oldest daughters, Ariana and Brielle, from a previous relationship. They then went on to have 4 more children and seemed incredibly happy, so it was a shock when they filed for divorce in early 2023. Admittedly, Kim and Kroy were struggling financially. The Georgia mansion had faced foreclosure starting in 2022. They saved it and were able to do so again in 2023. Kim also owed around $1 million to the IRS and had a mountain of debts. When they filed for divorce, they threw a lot of allegations at each other, tried to reconcile, but it did not last. The police were called quite frequently to the home and were just called during a dispute between the estranged couple. They asked Kim to stop calling when it was not an emergency, but now, the police are back in action. According to TMZ, Kim Zolciak was trying to leave with her moving truck, but Kroy was blocking the way. On Sunday, December 15th, a truck was at the Georgia home to get the remaining items. However, that became a struggle when Kim was unable to exit her driveway. Fortunately, they got smart and called the non-emergency line this time. Upon arrival, Kroy moved his car and Kim was able to leave. Status of the home: Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann's Georgia mansion was set for auction in early December. Yet nothing happened, but an Atlanta newspaper claimed that they were granted another postponement. Truist Bank owns the home and they gave them the chance to sell the home on their own. Kroy claimed he wanted to take less than the selling price, but Kim declined, so he tried to force the sale. Now, it is very unclear as to what is really happening and why they are moving everything out. If they still have more time, why not stay through the holidays? At the same time, Kim has a lot of items, so it is probably best to start storing stuff ASAP. The flashing red and blue lights sliced through the heavy Georgia night, illuminating the long driveway of the mansion that had once been a symbol of their fairy tale romance. Now it stood as a cold, hollow battleground. Kroy Biermann, the former NFL linebacker, stood at the entrance, his imposing figure blocking the doorway with an unwavering determination that betrayed the chaos unraveling behind his eyes. Kim Zolciak, his estranged wife, stood feet away, her face a storm of anger, frustration, and disbelief. "Move, Kroy. I'm not playing this game with you," Kim snapped, her voice cutting through the tense silence. She clutched a handful of expensive luggage, designer handbags swinging precariously from her arms. Her manicured nails dug into the leather handles as if gripping them tighter would somehow give her control over the spiraling situation. Kroy shook his head, jaw clenched so tightly it looked as though it might shatter. "You're not taking a single thing out of this house. Not tonight." The mansion, once filled with the sound of laughter, Bravo cameras, and the pitter-patter of their children's feet, was now eerily quiet, save for the distant voices of their kids echoing from somewhere inside. The fight had been building for weeks, each day escalating into another war over money, power, and pride. What had begun as whispers of their impending divorce had exploded into a full-blown battle, played out in the tabloids and on TMZ. Kim Zolciak Biermann, the glamorous reality TV star who rose to fame on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Kroy Biermann, the stoic football star who had once been her knight in shining armor, were now on the brink of annihilation, their relationship reduced to petty fights and police reports. Kim huffed, tossing her platinum hair over her shoulder, the glare from the police cruiser's headlights giving her an ethereal glow. "This is insane. You can't physically block me from leaving. You're going to look like a complete psycho." Kroy remained steadfast, his muscular frame planted firmly like the lineman he once was. In his eyes, there was no hint of the playful man who used to dote on her, no glimpse of the husband who had adopted her daughters and fathered 4 more children with her. that Kroy was gone, replaced by a man who seemed haunted, embattled, and out of options. Kim turned toward the cop cars pulling up closer now. 2 officers exited, their stoic expressions betraying years of experience with domestic disputes in upscale neighborhoods. Their flashlights swept over the scene, catching Kim's furious expression and Kroy's unyielding stance. "Ma'am, sir, can you tell us what's going on tonight?" one officer asked, his voice calm and firm, as if he were speaking to children rather than 2 adults waging a very public war. Kim turned first, unleashing a torrent of grievances like a dam bursting. "He won't let me leave. I'm trying to take my things and go to a hotel, and he's physically standing there blocking me. This is crazy. This is controlling, abusive behavior, and I want him out." The officer nodded, scribbling down notes, before shifting his attention to Kroy. "Sir, is there a reason you're preventing her from leaving?" Kroy's voice was calm but laced with tension, each word deliberate. "She's not taking anything that belongs to this house. She's trying to walk out with designer bags, my kids' belongings, and probably anything else she thinks she can pawn. I'm not letting her do it. Not until this is sorted in court." Kim let out a bitter laugh. "Pawn? Are you joking?" "I don't need to pawn anything, Kroy," but the accusation hit close to home. Tabloids had been feasting on the Zolciak Biermann financial troubles for months. Foreclosure rumors swirled around their Georgia mansion, stories of mounting debt and unpaid credit cards painting them as a couple living well beyond their means. Their once glamorous life of private jets, designer clothes, and extravagant vacations was unraveling at the seams. One of the officers stepped between them, holding up a hand. "Mr. Biermann, you cannot physically prevent her from leaving. If she wants to go, she's allowed to go." Kroy opened his mouth to argue but stopped, the muscles in his jaw twitching as his eyes flickered toward Kim. "Fine," he said through gritted teeth, "but I want to see what she's taking. Every single thing." Kim's eyes widened in disbelief. "This is harassment. This is next-level insane." She turned toward the officer. "I want him removed from the property. I don't feel safe." Kroy's face darkened at that. "You don't feel safe? Are you serious?" His voice trembled on the edge of incredulity, but he quickly masked it. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. This was a family in freefall, and the line between victim and aggressor seemed to blur with every sentence spoken. One officer leaned toward Kim, lowering his voice. "Ma'am, if you'd like to leave, you're welcome to do so. We're not here to mediate property disputes. That's a matter for the courts." Kim threw Kroy one last venomous glare. "You win. I'll leave without my things tonight, but don't think for 1 second this is over." She spun on her heel, the echo of her stilettos clicking against the marble floor before disappearing out into the humid night. Kroy stood there in the dim glow of the foyer as the officers followed Kim outside, watching her climb into an SUV idling at the edge of the driveway. For the first time, his shoulders slumped, the weight of the moment crushing him. The woman he had fought so hard to build a life with was now his fiercest adversary. The last police car pulled away, leaving the house plunged back into silence. Kroy turned toward the living room, where a cluster of toys sat abandoned on the floor, evidence of the life they had built together. He sank onto the couch, staring into the distance, his mind racing with thoughts he couldn't quite untangle. The house, the kids, the debts. It was all unraveling faster than he could hold it together. How'd they gotten here? Upstairs, the soft sound of footsteps echoed as one of the kids peeked around the corner of the staircase. "Dad?" a small voice called. Kroy straightened, forcing himself to shake off the moment's weight. "Yeah, buddy? Come here." His son padded over, clutching a well-worn stuffed animal to his chest. "Is Mommy coming back?" Kroy swallowed hard, fighting the lump rising in his throat. "Yeah, she'll be back soon. Everything's gonna be okay." But even as he said the words, he wasn't sure he believed them. The battle with Kim had only just begun, and deep down, he knew the worst was yet to come.